Hello, buddy. You're on the Somar channel. Enjoy watching. Pizza delivery guys, what's the strangest thing you've ever seen when you're delivering pizzas? When I arrived, there were 3 dudes in their underwear waiting for me. When I handed over the pizza, other dudes came out in their underwear, but they were still wearing cowboy hats and Native American headdresses. It was some kind of Halloween party or something. I had to pull a tip out of a man's bra. It was funny as hell, but when I walked out of the building, I had to wonder for a second what the f was going on here. I arrived with my order on the spot, and as I stood on the doorstep waiting for the guy to pay, I heard moaning and wheezing coming from the house. The kid kept looking back into the living room and bellowing. After he paid and handed me the cash register, he said, "Fucking hell, man, you gotta see this." He took a step back and I walked into the living room, where there were about 5 other dudes watching the kid fuck the fold on a 300-kilogram woman's stomach on a big TV.
This must be the pizza delivery job of my dreams.
One dude opened the flat door completely naked. I was stunned. But what followed made me wonder if he was some kind of fucking magician. He reached behind his back and pulled out his wallet. The only reasonable explanation I found for myself was that he had the wallet wedged between his buns.
It has to be said, it's a pretty powerful move.
I was delivering a pizza in a pretty rough neighborhood one day. The door was opened by 3 Latinos, and when one of them went to get the money, I noticed huge piles of money, a shitload of meth and weed that could kill Snoop Dogg, and about 20 guns. I was really scared. He tipped me $20 cash and told me not to tell anyone. I hope they aren't sitting on Reddit.
Hey, you just snitched on me.
I work in both DoorDash and Grubhub delivery apps, sometimes delivering pizza. One time I got an order in both apps at the same time with the same content, from the same restaurant. Both customers' name was James, and the delivery was to the same hotel. When I knocked on the door, there were 2 guys there who asked me if I was from DoorDash or Grubhub. I told them I had both of their reservations. They started laughing really hard. When I asked what was so funny, they told me that they had a bet on whose order would be delivered first. They thought there would be 2 different delivery people, and never would have thought that one person would use both apps. I laughed too, and asked which one was James. They said their name was both James. I'm still wondering what other cool things these 2 guys are trying to come up with. Delivered an order to a hotel. Dude passed out 3 times in 10 minutes during our meeting. Looks like he was narcoleptic, but it still scared the crap out of me.
Narcoleptic here. He was probably having a cataplexy attack. We don't lose consciousness, we're still conscious. But we lose muscle control, so we look like we've lost consciousness. In some isolated cases, it can look like a seizure, because we are trying to move to cause spasms. It happens because of emotion, so he's probably overexcited or something.
He was very excited about the pizza.
One of my neighbors killed a pizza delivery guy. The guy worked as a delivery guy while he was in college. The neighbor got life for premeditated murder.
They just explicitly said delivery would be within 30 minutes or sooner.
As the pundits say, forgiveness is a gift from God, but never pay full price for a late pizza.
One Saturday night, I was delivering pizzas to a block of flats. I got into the lift, and there was a dude dressed like a pimp trying to buy back the pizza I was supposed to deliver. He didn't even ask what it was with or what size it was. He just pulled out a $100 note and said, "I'm buying it for 100 quid. I politely turned him down, whereupon he pulled out another $100 note and offered me $200 already. I told him I could get fired. That was hard to refuse. Here's where it gets interesting. I go to the door of the guy I was supposed to deliver the pizza to. He opens the door, and he looks like a pimp too, in this huge colorful jacket. Grabs the pizza, gives me 100 quid, and closes the door. The pizza cost about $35, $65 tip. Got the biggest tip of my life from a dude who was dressed like a pimp just seconds after turning down the biggest bribe of my life from another dude who was dressed like a pimp.
Friend pimps were clearly testing the loyalty of local pizza joints.
I think the lift pimp wanted to buy a pizza to pretend to be the delivery guy for the second pimp. When the second pimp opens the door, the first pimp shoots the second pimp. Your integrity saved the pimp's life. At least that's what I'd tell my grandkids.
Just the other day, there was a delivery where I was met by 2 blokes, 25 years old in appearance, on the roof of a house in just their knickers. They were clearly delighted with the pizza that had been delivered.
Did you throw the pizza up there like Walter White?
One kid ordered a large pepperoni pizza. When I pulled up to the house, he wasn't there, so I called out to him. He said he was shitting in the loo, so I had to wait 18 minutes for payment.
You should have charged him a couple of quid for the wait.
All in all, I worked as a food delivery person for 2 years, making just over 3,500 deliveries. And unfortunately, I never saw a single weird situation, not even something as trivial as a naked person.
Perhaps you just have high criteria for what you consider strange.
Yeah, I guess after the 69th delivery to a swingers party, it doesn't seem so unusual anymore.
There was one order from a young couple. I arrived quite early and probably interfered with their having sex. The drunk dude had no idea he was wearing his girlfriend's skirt. Nothing out of the ordinary, but it was hard not to laugh. Let's go back to my college days when I was delivering pizzas. I had a job at the local county jail. Some officer was taking someone to jail. This guy, who was being led into jail with handcuffs behind his back, escaped from the officer. And as I was walking in, he bumped into me. I'm pretty sure this guy was under the meth. The officer got us both on the ground and twisted him up. I was covered in pizza sauce. The officers on that shift took the pizza and gave me $20 each. I reported it to my manager, we made a new pizza, and I brought it back for them. The cops were grateful and tipped me more. For one delivery, I raised somewhere around $400. I'd like to add that every time they ordered a pizza from us, they always asked for it to be delivered by a responsible guy, and always tipped me well. Good times.
I thought it would turn into a Spider-Man situation, where you let him get away and then he kills your uncle.
I'm not a pizza delivery guy, but I'll tell my story. Just before the place closed, we received strange orders for 2 pieces of chocolate cake and 2 cans of whipped cream. The whipped cream wasn't on the menu, so the customer paid in advance and negotiated with the management. Because of this, she considered herself a VIP. She was fat as hell, had 3 pugs, acted rude, and never tipped. It was very cold that night. It was a bad shift, and of course, I was called to the trailer park. I decided today was the day I was going to get back at her. I opened the cans of cream and crushed her cakes. I gave her the order and told her to stop ordering 5 minutes before closing time. By the time I got back to the establishment, she had already had time to complain. My boss refused to give me my salary until I took her the normal cans. And here's where it gets interesting. When I got back, her dress had been pulled up. I couldn't help but notice the wet, smeared cream all over her crotch, staining her black leggings. Looking down, I saw one of the pugs with cream all over his face, dripping off his chin. When I explained to my supervisor that she was probably abusing animals, he finally blacklisted her.
When I read The Lady with the Pug, I rejoiced. Yay, finally something interesting instead of weird sex-related bullshit. It ended up being weird sex-related bullshit.
A colleague of mine from a past job delivered pizzas when he was in college. He once told me that once, when he was pulling up to the location, a group of high school students ran across the street with the finish line tape as soon as he stopped. They ordered pizza at Pizza Hut and Domino's at the same time. I don't remember exactly where he worked, but he won the race.
I now want to try to do that.
One time I was delivering pizza late at night. The person who called told me that the customer, let's call him Mark, was an old man, and it might take a while for him to get to the door. I arrived at the house. All the lights were off. There was no car in the car park. No one answered. Knocked on the door, no one answered, called my mobile. Silence, called again. Still nothing. At this point, I had been waiting for this bloke for about 15 minutes. Just as I started to walk back to the car, I heard the front door open, so I walked back in. The light was also off, so all I could see was the head of a young girl peering out from behind the door. She refused to fully open the door to get the pizza. Afterwards, I heard another girl behind her who said, "Who cares? If he sees it, open the door." She opened it a little wider so she could sign the check. She couldn't see anything, so I offered to turn on the torch on my phone so she could sign. That's when I realized that both girls were naked. Since I'm a good worker, I looked away as she signed, after which I headed to my car. As I was leaving, one of them called out to me, "Have a nice evening, Mark's already having a nice evening." And I laughed as I had completely forgotten it was an old man's house.
Mark couldn't go to the door, as he was tied up.
I was delivering pizza to a young girl who was home alone, and as soon as she opened the door, her dog immediately ran away. I gave her the pizza, the car, found the dog, and returned it. She didn't leave me a tip, so on the way back to the restaurant, I was upset. A few hours later, her mother called the establishment and asked to see me. She thanked me and explained that they had set aside money for a tip, but her daughter was so upset about the dog that she forgot to give it to me. I worked at that pizza place for over 2 more years while I was in college. After that incident, they ordered 2 large pepperoni pizzas every week and asked me to deliver them. They always tipped me at least $25.
I'm so happy that the ending was happier than the beginning, as it might have initially appeared. Good thing, too, that you turned out to be a man and found her dog. Those arseholes can run far and hide pretty well.
That's the end of it. You can watch our other videos. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.